I'm Saffron and I'm a graphic design student at the University for the Creative Arts in Epsom, and today I just thought I would talk a little bit about advice I would give to myself if I was a first year again, or if I was talking to myself as a first year student. So my first year is now actually over 3 years ago because I did a year zero, so I've been here for quite a while and I feel like I've collected a lot of hindsight that I would like to impart on first years now and also my previous self. So I would say don't panic about like making friends. When I started uni, I was like, I found these first group of friends and I was like, I'm going to stick with these, and like, you know, I was worried I wouldn't make any other friends. But I would say don't cling to those friends, especially if they're bad friends, because it's not going to work out in the end and it could also make your experience worse. So don't feel like you have to stay with the first friends you make, because you know you're there for 3 years, there's plenty of time to make other friends. And I would also say join a society. It doesn't really matter which one it is. I mean, if you can find one you really like, then definitely that one, but just something to do that forces you to not be working every day, or if you're on a part-time job or the uni work, it gives you like a designated break where you go away and do something. So if you want to do something relaxing like yoga, we have a yoga club. There's like Christian groups and LGBT groups. I'm actually part of the ECA Hellcats at Epsom, which I only started this year, and if I could tell myself anything it would be that I should have started when I was in first year, because I really feel like I missed out on those 2 years and I would have loved to have had this like extra time and like doing more of it and doing it for longer. And now I feel like I'm gonna graduate this year and I'm gonna miss the rest of it, and I'm kind of be sad about that. But I'm really enjoying cheerleading, and it's like such a fun thing. Like you do training twice a week and there's socials, and so you get to make new friends and meet new people. And so if you're a first year and you're struggling with making friends, joining a society is definitely a great way to like kickstart making new friends, even if it's just like a temporary thing. I'd say, I mean, everyone's going to say this, but being on top of your deadlines is a huge thing to like make sure you're doing. But especially because it makes your spring really manic. So if your hand-in is in May and in like February you're like, oh, I'll just do it later, when it comes to April you're going to be panicking and freaking out, and you won't be able to enjoy the weather warming up and the more free time you might have, where you know you stopped getting new projects and you could start going back and doing work. If you've already done that work, you don't have to go back and you can kind of have a bit more of a relaxed time, so that's really important. Something that's related to uni but not quite as closely is being careful of landlords and houses that you move into. A lot of times cheap rent will mean a bad landlord, one who maybe is quite strict on rules. Like if you move out and you like leave one piece of blue tack on the wall, they'll be like, that's it, I'm taking like some part of your deposit or something like that. Sometimes paying a bit extra means that you'll be looked after better, you might be in a slightly nicer house. So if you're paying, you know, like £300 a month, something really low, you might, you know, be in a worse situation than someone who's paying a little bit more. If you can't afford to pay £500, that's completely up to you, but if you can afford it, I would say pay a little bit extra, just so you have that added security that you'll be well looked after, because you don't ever want to be, you know, in second year and worrying about like if something goes wrong in the house, if you'll be in trouble, so on and so forth. I think becoming a part of your student union or your course committee is really important, because that is the way that your uni and your course will make changes. You can tell your tutor and they can pass it on to people, but if you are the person at the table saying, we need this, I want to do this, we should get funding for this and so on, that's the best way to make change, instead of just moaning to your friends saying, oh, I wish we had this, or I wish the timetable was a bit different. Definitely get involved, and that's something I think is really important to make the most of your experience, because if there are things you don't like, a lot of times they can be changed. Try to relax and enjoy everything. Do the work that you have to, but not so much that you eliminate time for yourself and being social, especially when you're in your second year and things get more important and more intense and you get towards the middle of your degree and it feels like you need to be working all the time. That isn't true. As long as you're making the most of the time that you dedicate to doing work, then that's all you can do. If you also have a part-time job as well, it would be really, really good if you can reduce your hours. Some people can't, and they have to work basically a full-time job to pay their rent and live, and that's completely fine. But if it's more of a thing that you could do without, I would definitely say try and reduce the hours that you work if you can, just so you have more time for yourself and being social, and if you join a club, things like that, to kind of make the experience more enjoyable, because it is this middle ground between being like a sixth form or a college student where you don't have that much freedom but you have a little bit, to being an adult where you have like so much freedom and a lot more responsibilities. So being in this middle ground is definitely something you should enjoy, and try and like make the most of every opportunity you get to do something new or go somewhere new or learn from someone. If there's a talk that's related to your course and you're like, oh, I have to do this, but that should be something you should really take hold of and do. And that's my advice. I could literally go on forever about all of the things that I've learned about uni, but here is just my favourite ones.